Hello and welcome to this edition of the Wireless LAN News Desk on February 16th, 2018. My name's Tom Carpenter. I'm the CTO at CWNP. And this week in the news, we have three things we want to talk about. A little bit of learning along the way. First of all, we have the issue of whole home Wi-Fi. I noticed a few different articles this week talking about whole home Wi-Fi, interviewing some managers from different cable companies and internet service providers and so forth. So what is this thing called whole home Wi-Fi? Well, the buzz phrase, I've noticed this by several different companies, is in every corner of the home. So this is what we're after. We want Wi-Fi in every corner of the home. In other words, it's about covering the entire space. For example, you don't want to be off in a corner of the house somewhere trying to watch YouTube and it has to pause and buffer periodically. Or one of the kids is down in the basement somewhere and they're trying to watch Netflix and it's just not working for them. If we have whole home coverage, we shouldn't experience those things. So whole home coverage is about getting coverage everywhere, but it should be more than that. It shouldn't be just about getting coverage everywhere because guess what? Most of these homes that experience those problems I just mentioned have coverage in those areas. Otherwise, they wouldn't be connected at all in order to buffer, right? So they have coverage. It's just not the right coverage. I don't have the signal strength I need. So this whole home Wi-Fi should have some minimum specification in dB signal strength that we're going to have everywhere. Does it? Do the internet service providers that are providing these technologies actually use that metric? I hope they do. If you're listening, I hope you realize that needs to be part of your deployment to make sure that you're measuring the signal that you have, to make sure that you're understanding how your implementation works so that your different devices that are providing this whole home coverage are not stepping on each other. These are all very important. Now, in nearly all cases, the solution is Wi-Fi mesh, some proprietary and some 802.11s based. What's the best solution? Well, for optimum performance, there's going to be what they call tri-band mesh devices. Now, what this means is there's a 2.4 gigahertz radio for serving client devices, a 5 gigahertz radio for serving client devices, and another 5 gigahertz radio just for participation in the mesh. So, as you've seen by the description, it's not really tri-band, is it? It's really dual band, dual 5 gigahertz in the 5 gigahertz band. So it's tri-radio. How about that? But at any rate, the benefit of it is that that one 5 gigahertz radio can be dedicated to communication with the mesh. So instead of having a radio that has to toggle between talking to a client and talking to the mesh, talking to a client and talking to the mesh, we can actually talk to the mesh at the same time as we're talking to a client, because we have two different radios to do that. Now, I know there are some discussions in the wireless LAN professionals community around the world that says, well, are these dual 5 gigahertz APs that are sold for the enterprise really good? Don't they degrade the performance because of the interference they cause with each other being in that same enclosure, even if one of them is on a lower 5 gigahertz channel and one of them is on an upper 5 gigahertz channel? Well, they do. They do cause some level of degradation in some reports. In other reports, the performance is phenomenal and there's no issue. Here's the thing. For in-home Wi-Fi, it becomes a non-issue. Because even if that performance is degraded a little bit with those 802.11ac radios, it is not going to impact that in-home Wi-Fi in any perceivable way. And that's what matters to home users. Perception. Perception's everything. For that matter, just to clue you in on this, that's what matters for enterprise users as well. Perception. Do I perceive this as being fast or do I perceive this as being slow? So we could throw metrics around all we want. Well, hey, you've got a neg 63 dBm signal. You're getting throughput of 15 megabits to 25 megabits per second. That's good for Wi-Fi. We can throw that around if that's what we feel is good for Wi-Fi, by the way. And it doesn't matter. All that matters is their perception. And the same is true for in-home Wi-Fi. You're not going to have a perceptively poorer performance because of those dual 5 gigahertz APs in these wireless devices. So that's important to keep in mind. Now, some of these devices also actually have built-in Ethernet switches in the mesh router. So in addition to connecting your Wi-Fi devices to it, you could set one of your mesh routers on your desk right by your desktop computer and plug your desktop computer into it. So now you don't have to worry about Ethernet over power line or running Ethernet cables across the floor or along the wall and the baseboard. All you have to do is connect it to that and let it use the mesh for its backhaul to your actual internet connection. Now, Comcast invested millions of dollars in a company called Plume last year, and other ISPs and cable providers are partnering with Eero and other vendors. So it certainly does appear that this mesh concept is the one that's winning the day. And it makes sense. Here's the reason it makes sense. Because these people need to get in and out of multiple homes a day and do these deployments. They don't have time to do a 3 or 4 wireless access point deployment with a proper survey and everything else. So, a lot of people like to say, hey, you cable providers, would you stop doing auto channel selection? But let's just pause and think about what they have to deal with. Going into multi-tenant facilities, they don't always have the time to pick the right channel. And then you've got the fact that the right channel may not be the right channel next week. So this is their motivation for auto channel, and it's understandable. The additional thing, though, is they need to improve those auto channel algorithms. But with that said, you can understand why mesh is a great option for them as well. There is not as much design that needs to be done for in-home mesh like this. Now, I'm deploying mesh in some type of a large enterprise environment. It's a whole different story, but this is in-home. So we can deploy it quickly, we can get in and out of a home, and they can have a good perceived Wi-Fi experience, which is what we're after. So make sure you're studying Wi-Fi mesh because it's going to get more and more common as the years go on. Second thing in the news, 802.11ax is already on the agenda. According to a report by Tech Target, 802.11ax is on the agenda for upcoming projects in 2018 for 27% of the respondents. Now, given that it's not even ratified yet, that tells you there's interest, right? And we don't know what that means, that it's on the agenda. Does that mean we're going to launch an investigative project for planning 2019-2020? Does it mean we're going to be deploying some AX APs sometime in the last half of 2018? We don't know. This report doesn't tell us that, but it tells us it's on the radar, which means that people are paying attention to it. They're planning for it. They're thinking about it at the very minimum. Now, also according to the Tech Target report, mobility framework projects ranked 4th in priority for upcoming projects. These were under general network upgrades, network automation, and better cloud integration as number 1, 2, and 3. Now, of course, general network upgrades, that could include Wi-Fi activity as well, right? So we don't know how much of that is Wi-Fi. But Wi-Fi is a priority coming up in this year in several parts of this report from Tech Target. It's an integral part. It's very important. So make sure you understand the value you bring. And you can communicate that well to your organization, but also keep your value. In other words, 802.11ax is on the horizon. If you haven't started, it's time to begin. Learn about 802.11ax. Watch webinars, look at white papers, get books on it if you can find them. Study 802.11ax. We've covered it a bit in our CWNA materials that were released in October of last year because we wanted to help people prepare for it and be ready for what's coming on the horizon, though it's not covered in a testable format on that exam. But it is there. It's not ratified yet and wouldn't be for a while, so it's not testable there. We do have CWDP and CWAP coming out this year. They will provide larger scale coverage of 802.11ax because it's going to be needed in the life cycle of those certifications. So you'll have some learning materials from us here in the next 5-6 months that will help you with that, but make sure that you are studying 802.11ax. Okay, you ready for the third thing? Some fun in the news. The Traeger Timberline 850 connected grill does it all. Smokes, grills, bakes, and connects to your Wi-Fi. Okay, so here it is. It's a connected grill. This is awesome. They creatively named the wireless component in it Wi-Fire. And so I thought that was a lovely name for it, but that's the name they gave it. This Wi-Fi connection allows you to monitor the grill, to check temperatures, to even check temperatures of meat if you have a thermometer that plugs into the meat and connects to the Wi-Fi component. So all of that, really cool. I mean, I have a wireless thermometer that plugs into the meat. It's not Wi-Fi, but I've got a receiver and I can see the temperature as I'm in the house and I don't have to stand out there by the grill checking the temperature all the time. So I think it's kind of cool and now it's built into a device. Okay, so here's the question. How much does this device cost? Oh, about $1,600. About $1,600. That's all. Now, that price point, it seems pretty high for a grill for some people, and it does for me. I'm not a $1,600 grill guy. I'm more of a $300 to $500 grill guy. But the point is that it is a fairly expensive grill, $1,600. And that makes me pause with the following frequently asked questions statement that I read at Traeger's website. Currently, the wireless device on the Timberline grill is only compatible with 2.4 gigahertz channels. Okay, so you're selling me a $1,600 grill, but you can only afford a 2.4 gigahertz chipset? Now, that's like selling me a $1,600 laptop that's 2.4 gigahertz only today. I'm sorry. It's what we call in the industry unacceptable. This is unacceptable because here's the reason, okay? This is a $1,600 grill. There might be some people that buy that grill that they're going to buy another grill in 2 years and another one in 2 years. But you know what? I kind of think the majority of people that buy that grill for $1,600 are going to keep it for 6, 7, 8, 10, maybe more years. Now, here you are 10 years down the road. It's 2028 and you're still locked into a 2.4 gigahertz only device. That doesn't sound like fun to me. I don't know what it sounds like to you. Now, the consumers have no idea. It's not on the marketing literature. I looked around on the brochures. You couldn't find anything about it. You had to dig through at their website till you get to the fact, and there it is. Even in the specifications, the technical specifications of the grill, it doesn't list what the Wi-Fi capabilities are. But in that fact, they let you know. But that's not the best part. Listen to the rest of the statement. Using this frequency gives you a bigger connectivity range. In other words, that's why we did it. We did it for you. We did it so you could have a bigger connectivity range. Okay, then why didn't you go ahead and give me a dual band chipset and then I could choose to use the bigger connectivity range if I wanted to, but otherwise I could use the better connectivity option of 5 gigahertz. Okay, I'm picking on them, but they're not the only vendor, all right? The point is, it's 2018, 2.4 gigahertz only devices are still coming, and they're not all cheap devices. $1,600 for a grill with Wi-Fi that's 2.4 gigahertz only. Wow, the fun keeps rolling. Okay, that's it for the Wireless LAN News Desk this week. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure you do that. Click the bell in order to get notifications when we go live. And also, if you're going to WLPC, I'll see you there next week. If you're going to training, I might see you around over the weekend. I'll be teaching a CWNA class there Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And then, of course, we'll be there for the conference Tuesday through Thursday. We're looking forward to joining Keith Parsons there for his annual WLPC conference in Phoenix. It's always a good time. So hope to see you there. If I don't, I'll see you right here next week on the Wireless LAN News Desk.